Life is full of unexpected twists, turns, and challenges that can feel overwhelming. You know, sometimes it feels like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You've been through things that others may not even understand, the late nights filled with worry, the mornings when you barely had the strength to get out of bed, the times when it felt like every door was closing in your face. You faced disappointments, losses, and moments when it seemed like all your efforts were in vain. Some of you might be going through it right now. The struggle feels real. I get it. Life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes it feels like one problem after another is coming at you and you're just trying to keep your head above water. There are days when it feels like no matter what you do, nothing changes. The bills pile up. The dreams fade. The people who promise to support you are nowhere to be found. You've been knocked down. And you wonder if you'll ever get back up. But what I want you to understand today is that even in the midst of struggle, you're still standing. Even when the world feels like it's crumbling around you, you're still here. And that's something to hold on to. Because if you're still standing, that means there's purpose in you. There's something inside of you that can't be shaken, that can't be taken away. We've all had our fair share of hard times, moments when we thought we wouldn't make it through. You've been through your share of brokenness, but you're still here, aren't you? You may not be where you thought you'd be, and things might not have turned out how you imagined, but you're still here, and that means there's something greater at work in your life. Life's struggles don't define you, they refine you. Every setback, every disappointment, every hardship is shaping you, molding you into something stronger. It's like the pressure of the coal turning into a diamond. You might not see it right now, but something beautiful is being formed inside of you. It's easy to get caught up in the weight of the struggle and forget about the bigger picture. Life has a way of testing our faith, our strength, and our resolve. But remember, the struggle doesn't last forever. It's part of the journey. And it doesn't determine your final destination. There's more to you than what you've been through. You are not your circumstances. You are not defined by your struggles. You are more than what you faced. When life hits us with its toughest moments, it can be easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. We get caught up in the mess of the moment, focused on our failures, our shortcomings, and the obstacles that seem to be standing in our way. But in the middle of it all, it's important to remember one powerful truth: God has a plan for you. Yes, you heard me right. God has a plan for you. A plan that goes beyond the chaos you see right now, beyond the tears, the stress, and the confusion. His plan for your life was written long before you ever faced the struggles you've been through. It's been designed for you uniquely with a purpose that is greater than you can even comprehend. And here's the best part: nothing can stop it. No setback, no failure, no bad decision, no person, no storm, nothing can derail what God has ordained for your life. It may seem like things aren't going according to plan, but trust me, they are. Sometimes the plans that we make for ourselves fall apart. We think we know the way, we have a clear idea of what we want, but things don't always turn out the way we expected. And it's in those moments of disappointment that we start to doubt God's plan. But that's where we have to lean into the truth: God's plan is always better than our own. It might not look like what we imagine, it may not feel comfortable or convenient, but when we walk in alignment with God's will, we are walking on the path that leads to something far greater than what we could have ever dreamed up for ourselves. God's plan for you is bigger than your mistakes. You might think you've messed up too many times, that you've taken too many wrong turns. You may feel like your past disqualifies you from walking in the fullness of what God has for you. But listen, God's grace is bigger than your mistakes. He doesn't look at your failures the way you do. His plan isn't based on your past, it's based on His divine purpose for your life. Your mistakes don't define you, His love and His calling do. Even when you feel lost or uncertain, you are still on the right path because God's plan for you is in motion. He's already working behind the scenes, even when you can't see it, even when you can't see it, even when you feel like you're stuck. There's always something happening that is moving you toward the right place, even when it feels like you're going in circles. And that's the beauty of God's plan. It's always unfolding. You might not see the whole picture, but He does. And what's even more incredible is that every step, even the painful ones, is leading you to something greater. And when we truly believe that God has a plan for us, it changes the way we move through life. It shifts our mindset from one of fear and uncertainty to one of confidence and hope. We start to walk with the assurance that even in the toughest seasons, even in the moments of doubt, God is still in control. He is still guiding, still protecting, still providing. Nothing that happens to you can ever cancel his purpose for your life. So no matter where you are, no matter what you're facing, take a deep breath and remember God has a plan for you. It may not always be easy to see, but it's there. And no matter what you go through, it will not be stopped. There's something powerful about understanding the difference between a delay and a denial. Too often when things don't happen on our timeline, we assume that we've been shut out, that the door has been slammed in our face, and that maybe our dreams are not meant to be. We interpret delays as denials. We take the waiting as a sign that God is not for us or that he's forgotten about us. We wonder why the promises haven't come to pass yet. But here's the truth that we must all hold on to: delays are not denials. In our world, we're conditioned to expect immediate results. We want answers right now. We want the job, the house, the relationship, the breakthrough. We want it yesterday. But God's timing is not the same as ours. His plans are not bound by the same clocks we are. So when things aren't happening the way we envision them, it doesn't mean that God has said no. It simply means it's not time yet. And while waiting can be frustrating and difficult, we must trust that every moment of delay is a part of God's perfect plan unfolding in our lives. Sometimes God's delays are actually his protection. I know that's hard to accept when you're looking at a situation that feels like it's going nowhere. But God sees the bigger picture. He knows things that you don't. And he's orchestrating your life in such a way that when the time is right, everything will fall into place in ways you could never have imagined. If God had given you what you wanted when you wanted it, it might not have been the right fit for you or the right time for you. It might have led you down a path that wasn't prepared for the blessing you were asking for. God knows exactly when you are ready, and he's not going to rush his perfect timing just because you're feeling impatient. What we must realize is that a delay is not a closed door. It's simply God redirecting you to the right door. In the meantime, he's preparing you, refining you, strengthening you, and teaching you things that will help you when that door opens. Think about it. When we experience delays, we often have to spend time in reflection and growth in waiting. Waiting develops character. It teaches us patience, resilience, and faith. It helps us trust in the process, not just the outcome. Sometimes we are delayed because we're not ready for what God is about to release in our lives. We might think we are, but God knows we need just a little more time, a little more growth, a little more wisdom, a little more spiritual maturity. God is always preparing us for the promise. And sometimes the preparation process takes longer than we would like, but it's all part of the plan. What's ahead is not just good, it's beyond good. It's better than you imagine, but God needs to make sure that when you step into it, you're ready to handle the blessing. If you rush the process, you might miss out on the fullness of what's coming. Another reason we face delays is that God is waiting for the right circumstances to align. The people, the opportunities, the resources, all of these things need to be in place for you to walk in your destiny. The timing has to be right, not just for you, but for the world around you. God's plan is always bigger than just us. It's about the way your life fits into the bigger picture of his kingdom. Sometimes the delay is not because of you, but because there are other pieces being put in place. Maybe someone else is on their own journey of preparation, and God is bringing you both together at the perfect time. Let's also acknowledge that sometimes we simply don't have the full perspective. We're looking at our circumstances through our limited human vision, but God sees everything past, present, and future. He sees the end from the beginning. He knows the exact moment when everything will come together. We may not understand it in the moment, but we can trust that he's working all things for our good. We may think that a delay is a setback, but in God's hands, it's simply a step towards something greater. It's important to recognize that the waiting isn't wasted. Every season of delay is a season of growth. It's a season where God is stretching your faith, where he's building your patience, and where he's preparing you for the next level of your journey. Delays might feel frustrating, but when we look at them from the perspective of faith, we realize they are not wasted time. They are moments where God is moving us closer to the blessing, even when we can't see it. When things don't happen the way we expect, we have a choice. We can either get discouraged and think it's over, or we can trust that God's timing is perfect and that the delay is just a part of the process. God is not a man that he should lie. If he said he would do it, he will do it. It may not be on your timeline, but it will be right on time according to his plan. Delays aren't denials. They are simply moments where God is at work, preparing us for what's ahead. And as difficult as it may be in the moment, we have to trust in the process. The waiting is never in vain. It's all leading us to the promises God has spoken over our lives. So the next time you find yourself waiting, remember this delay is not a denial, it's just a part of the journey to your blessing. Trusting in the process is one of the hardest things to do, especially when you can't see the end result. In a world that thrives on instant gratification, where we are accustomed to having everything now, from fast food to instant downloads, it can be incredibly frustrating to have to wait for something that feels like it's never coming. But let me tell you, there is something powerful in the waiting, in trusting the process, and in knowing that even when you can't see it, God is working behind the scenes. Trusting the process means believing that there's purpose in every step, even the ones that seem insignificant or uncomfortable. We often look at where we are right now and get discouraged because it doesn't look like where we want to be. It might seem like nothing is changing, like you're stuck in a season of stagnation. But let me remind you, growth doesn't always look like progress. Just because you can't see the change doesn't mean it's not happening. Roots grow underground before the tree ever reaches the sky. When you trust the process, you're acknowledging that God knows exactly where you are and where He's taking you. The moments of doubt, the seasons of waiting, and the struggles you're going through, they are all part of the bigger picture. God's timing is perfect, even when we don't understand it. His plan is unfolding exactly how it needs to, even when it feels like things are moving too slowly or not at all. One of the hardest things to do is to surrender the outcome. We want control, we want to direct our own path, and we want things to happen on our own terms. But trusting the process means letting go of our need to control everything and acknowledging that God's way is better. It's about believing that He knows exactly what you need, even if it doesn't align with your plans. God's plans for us are bigger than what we can see in the moment. And trusting the process requires the humility to accept that His understanding far exceeds ours. In the process, there will be moments of doubt, moments when you wonder if you're on the right path. It's natural. But it's in those moments that faith has to rise up. When you don't know how or when or even why, trusting the process is about holding on to faith, knowing that the journey itself is shaping you. Even in times when everything seems uncertain, faith will be the anchor that holds you steady. It's in trusting God, even when you don't have all the answers, that you experience the kind of peace that passes all understanding. Every setback, every challenge, every hard season is part of God's process to build you into the person He knows you're meant to be. It might feel like you're being tested, but remember, God never wastes anything. Every season, whether it's a season of growth, a season of rest, or a season of struggle, is leading you somewhere. It's all necessary. Without the hard moments, without the moments that push you to your limits, you wouldn't be equipped for what's coming next. Trust in the process is about trusting that every part of your story has a purpose. Another key to trusting the process is recognizing that you're not walking alone. It can feel isolating when you're in the midst of a struggle or when you feel like no one understands your journey. But the truth is, God is always with you. When you trust the process, you're acknowledging that even though you might not see it, He is guiding every step you take. His presence is with you in the highs and the lows. He is walking with you through the uncertainty, the waiting, the struggle, and He is there every time you question whether it's all worth it. A big part of trusting the process is realizing that you don't have to have all the answers. We often get caught up in needing to know the how and the when, but trust doesn't require full understanding, it requires surrender. God doesn't give us the blueprint for our whole life all at once. He gives us what we need when we need it. He reveals the next step, not the whole staircase. And trusting the process means taking that step, even when you don't know what the next one looks like. You might be sitting in a season of waiting right now, and it feels like nothing is happening. But I promise you, God is working in ways you can't see. When you trust the process, you are acknowledging that the delay, the detour, the waiting, it's all part of your growth. There is nothing wasted in the kingdom of God. Everything that happens to you, every experience you go through is being used to prepare you for what's next. The process is never easy. It's uncomfortable, it's tiring, and sometimes it feels like you're not getting anywhere. But the truth is, the process is where transformation happens. It's in the waiting that you learn patience. It's in the struggle that you learn resilience. It's in the uncertainty that you learn to rely on God. Every moment of your journey is preparing you for what's ahead. And when you trust the process, you open yourself up to the blessings, the wisdom, and the strength that God is building in you along the way. Trusting the process means believing that everything will come together in God's time, even when you can't see how. It means trusting that He is not only with you, but that He is working on your behalf, even when it doesn't feel like it. And sometimes that means just taking the next step. Even if you don't know where the path leads, it's about holding on to the faith that even though you may not see the full picture right now, God's plan for you is unfolding. Persistence is a powerful thing. It's not the flashy moments of success that change our lives. It's the quiet, consistent effort, day after day, even when the odds seem stacked against us. Persistence is the force that pushes us forward when everything inside of us is screaming to quit. It's the strength to keep going even when we don't see immediate results, even when it feels like we're not getting anywhere. It's the faith to believe that every step, no matter how small, is leading us to something greater. What I want you to understand about persistence is this: it's not about perfection. It's not about getting everything right. It's not about never stumbling or never facing failure. In fact, persistence is often born in the middle of failure. It's when you fall down and choose to get back up again that you discover the true power of persistence. It's about refusing to give up no matter how many times you fail, how many doors get slammed in your face, or how many setbacks you face. In a world that rewards instant success, it's easy to become discouraged when things don't happen overnight. We see others achieving their dreams seemingly effortlessly, and it's easy to compare ourselves to them. But what you don't see are the years of persistence, the nights of struggle, the failures that came before the success. Success doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's built on a foundation of countless small decisions, each one requiring the courage to press on. Every no is one step closer to a yes. Every failure is a lesson. And every lesson gets you one step closer to your goal. Persistence is about having a vision and sticking with it, even when you can't see how it will all come together. It's believing in the end result when the road ahead looks uncertain. It's trusting the process, even when the process is long, hard, and messy. You might not understand every twist and turn along the way, but persistence is the unwavering belief that each challenge is leading you somewhere important. You trust that even the setbacks are setting you up for something better. It's easy to give up when the going gets tough. In fact, giving up is often the path of least resistance. It's easier to walk away, easier to quit, easier to let fear win. But persistence requires you to dig deeper, to find strength in the face of adversity, and to keep moving forward, even when it feels impossible. It's about doing the work when no one is watching, when there's no applause, when you don't have all the answers. It's about keeping going when the future looks unclear and the obstacles seem insurmountable. Here's the thing: the world might not celebrate your persistence. People might not always see the value of what you're doing or understand why you keep pushing. There might be times when you feel like you're working in the shadows, like your efforts are unnoticed and unappreciated. But remember, this persistence doesn't need validation from others. It doesn't need to be understood by the world around you. It is your commitment to your purpose, your refusal to let go of what God has put in your heart. The seeds of persistence are often planted in the dark, and it's in those unseen moments of effort that something powerful is growing. You see, persistence is what separates the dreamers from the doers. It's what turns a vision into reality. It's not enough to just have a dream or a desire. You have to take action. You have to show up every day, even on the days when you feel tired, when the odds seem too great, or when you're questioning whether it's worth it. The power of persistence is in the daily commitment to keep moving, to keep striving, and to keep believing that what's ahead is worth every step. And when you look back, you'll realize that every moment you thought about giving up was a moment that made you stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling the blessings that were waiting for you on the other side. Persistence is a muscle that gets stronger the more you use it. The more you push through the difficult moments, the more you press on through the setbacks, the more you develop resilience. It's not about making giant leaps all at once. It's about consistently moving forward, no matter how small the steps may seem. Over time, those small steps accumulate and lead to a breakthrough. The key is to stay the course. Keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Even when you don't feel like it. Even when it's hard. Even when others don't understand. Persistence is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's about enduring the long haul, knowing that what you are doing today is shaping your tomorrow. There will be days when the road feels long, when you feel like you're stuck in a cycle, or when you wonder if it's all worth it. But persistence teaches you to trust the journey. It teaches you that the obstacles along the way are not signs of failure, but stepping stones to your destiny. The truth is, the only way you truly fail is if you stop. As long as you keep going, as long as you refuse to quit, you are still in the game. You are still moving towards your goal. The only way to lose is to give up. So keep going, keep persisting, keep showing up, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Keep pressing on, even when it seems like the world is against you. Because with persistence, there is no such thing as failure. There is only progress.